Alarms howled in rhythmic shrieks through the chrome-lit corridors of Horizon Station Gamma. Dr. Myles Aeron sprinted past flickering holoscreens, clutching a battered datapad to his chest. Footsteps thundered behind. "Myles, wait!" shouted a voice. Dell, his trusted engineer and sometimes skeptic. Myles barely hesitated. "No time, Dell! The anomaly's cycling again! We need to recalibrate the bridge coils." Myles shot back over his shoulder, skidding to a stop before the spectral shimmer pulsing like a living wound in the air. Electric blue waves distorted the laboratory's edges, warping the familiar lines of ceiling, floor, even people. Behind him, Dell caught up, panting. "This can't be happening again," Dell muttered, scanning readouts on the nearest console. "We're weeks from another scheduled test." "It's not a test," Myles said, voice dropping. He wiped sweat from his brow. "I saw it again, Dell, that split skyline. Half New Cascadia, half something else. Streets that shouldn't exist. The event is bleeding into our world." Dell's eyes widened. "You think the anomaly's punching through? Reality's overlapping?" Lights popped. In the humming gloom, the team's biologist, Rena, bolted through the sliding doors. "The quantum frames are destabilizing," she called, her tone urgent. "If we don't lock down the core, we might lose the whole station." Myles stared into the swirling rift, heartbeat thunderous. He'd lost sleep for months over those visions, mind-melting dreams of another version of himself, just out of reach, standing amid a city both alien and achingly familiar. What if those were real glimpses, not just quantum echo? What if someone on the other side was trying to warn him? "Dell, Rena," Myles said, determination cutting through his exhaustion. "I need that core stable. Rena, prep containment shields. Dell, get the quantum sync interface online. We're done guessing. Tonight, we go in. If it is another world, someone needs to know we're here, or everyone in both timelines could be erased." As emergency lights pulsed and the rift's veil shimmered brighter than ever, Horizon Station braced for a leap no human had ever dared. Myles took a steadying breath, failing to bury his fear beneath the hope that maybe, just maybe, they weren't alone. Inside Horizon Station's command hub, tension crackled like static. Rena's hands darted over the console, voice clipped. "Containment shields holding at 90%. Any higher, and we'll torch the circuits." Dell's jaw was set with stubborn defiance. "Quantum interface calibrated. But once we link, I can't promise what's coming through won't fry our brains." Myles watched the rift spiral and pulse, almost hypnotic, alive with colors the mind barely understood. He moved to the central module, fingers tracing cracks spidering from the event's impact. "We can't wait for it to come to us. We bridge now or watch both timelines die apart." Rena hesitated, then nodded. Her quiet, agreed, was as solid as steel. Dell gritted his teeth and flicked a final switch. The air thrummed like the inside of a struck bell. Static danced up Myles' arms as he raised the sync device. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a million overlapping heartbeats. A rush of images. Myles standing beside a taller, grizzled man. Also Myles, but lined and scarred by war, surveying a city skyline rent by impossible towers and flickering voids. Another Dell, older, missing an arm, shouting into a blazing inferno. Rena, with silver hair and cold eyes, gripping a gun in a ruined lab. A woman's voice cut through the chaos, trembling but strong. "If you can hear us, don't disconnect. We're you, or we were. Your world's about to fracture. We need to." Static, then a string of numerical coordinates. Myles snapped back to himself just as sparks arced across the ceiling and alarms blared anew. Rena staggered, eyes wide. "Did you hear her? She knew us." Dell tapped frantically, tracing the numbers that now burned across the interface screen. "Coordinates? Maybe a rendezvous? Whoever they are, they're as desperate as we are." Myles stared at the fading rift, unease and hope strangling his breath. This isn't just another reality bleeding in. They're fighting back, reaching out. If we don't answer, maybe no one will. Sirens screamed in warning, but Myles pressed his hand against the console. "Prep the jump ship. We go to those coordinates at dawn." The team exchanged quick, determined glances as the anomaly rippled ominously behind them. Whatever waited across the horizon divide, the next chapter of humanity's fate would begin at sunrise. Dawn never really pierced Horizon Station's orbit. Instead, a perpetual violet haze filtered through the observation deck as Myles, Dell, and Rena huddled by the jump ship. Del checked each system, muttering, "Thrusters, quantum stabilizer, backup oxygen." "Good. At least if we die, it won't be from laziness." Rena managed a shaky grin. "That's reassuring." They slipped inside the needle-shaped vessel, Myles clutching the coordinates from their mysterious transmission. The jump ship shivered as the bay doors unsealed, revealing the swirling anomaly in the hangar, glowing brighter now, hungry and wild. "Are you ready for this?" Myles asked quietly, checking his team's determined faces. Del nodded, jaw clenched. Rena tucked a photo of her daughter into her suit, eyes fierce. "We're not letting anything erase her," she whispered. Myles input the coordinates. The computer chimed, "Destination unknown timeline. Caution, causal stability unconfirmed." "On my mark," Myles steadied his voice. 3, 2, 1. The world spun sideways, then exploded into streaming colors and impossible echoes. For a moment, Myles glimpsed the familiar Earth's curve, city lights, then something harsher. Cities split by scars of void, alien ships hovering at torn horizons, shattered moon fragments drifted in the sky. They landed not in ruins, but on a rooftop, this station's twin but grittier, worn. Waiting there were three figures, a weathered Myles, an older Del with a prosthetic arm, and Rena, silver-haired with a haunted glare. The meeting was silent at first, every member staring at the other's face, searching for differences and hope. Then other Myles broke the spell. "We tried so hard to stop this. But if you're here, there's still a chance." Del's voice shook. "This is impossible." Other Del's prosthetic whirred as he grinned. "Not if you're desperate enough." Myles took a shaky breath. "What happened here? Can we stop it?" Other Rena stepped forward. "Both timelines are fraying. Today, one collapses. If we don't act together even across realities, we both vanish. The anomaly's eating through the quantum divide." Myles looked at his team, then their counterparts. "Then we fight side by side." Hope flickered in both worlds' eyes. Above, the tier in the sky yawned wider, and history's most unlikely alliance began. The meeting room they gathered in was barely lit, filled with makeshift equipment and battered projection screens. Both teams sat across from each other, uneasily mirroring movements. The air felt thick with questions. Other Myles wasted no time. "We need full power on the horizon stabilizer if we're to patch the divide, but our fusion core's shot. Your timeline, do you have a spare?" Del leaned forward. "We do, but it powers our jump ship. If we give it up, we're stuck here if things go bad." Other Del barked a harsh laugh. "Try being stuck, while the fabric of your world peels away every time you blink." Rena spoke up, eyes locked on her alternate. "You built a containment algorithm, something we'd never dare. Risky, but maybe we can merge our best data from each side." Other Rena nodded, sliding a chip across the table. "Everything we have on anomaly behavior. Use it or lose us both." She hesitated, then asked, "Do you have family at home?" Rena's fingers tightened on the photo in her pocket. "A daughter. She loves old books." Other Rena's voice cracked. "So did mine before the event." Myles watched the two Renas, so alike, so different, then turned to his counterpart. "What's the anomaly's weak spot?" Other Myles's eyes burned with hope. "It stabilizes on familiar patterns, recognizable signatures. We've collected harmonics from our cities, sounds, even voices. If we combine those across both timelines at the core, we might trick it into sealing the divide." Del cracked a wry smile. "So, a cosmic lullaby?" Other Del grinned back. "Or the worst band ever." Outside, the sky rumbled, a sunset the color of bruises. The two teams exchanged loaded glances. Whatever their odds, they were now impossibly united. Myles stood, voice steady. "We work as one. We try together, or we fall apart forever." As plans and frequencies buzzed across the battered comm screens, hope clung to every desperate breath. The clock was ticking down, not just for one world, but for both. With nervous energy, both teams moved into the anomaly core chamber. Flickering arcs of light danced along every surface, humming with a pulse that felt almost alive. Del and Other Del worked side by side, yanking out cables and swapping modules. "Hand me the E-lock," Del said, trying to match the quick, practiced movements of his older counterpart. "You're too cautious," Other Del replied, grinning. "Sometimes you have to run before you crawl. But hey, try not to blow us up." Rena and her counterpart synchronized data on the dual consoles, lines of code scrolling rapidly. "This," Rena said, shaking her head in awe, "this is more elegant than anything we managed." "You fix your timeline," Other Rena replied gently, "and maybe I'll rest easier." Both Myleses poured over readings, trying to locate a familiar harmonic strong enough to bridge the divide. Other Myles's voice grew urgent. We need something personal, a resonance that both anomalies will recognize. Something that's constant in both realities. Del rummaged through his pack, pulling out a battered music chip. My kid loves this song, he said, suddenly self-conscious. Plays it all the time back on our station. Maybe. Rena smiled through her nerves. It's worth a shot. Our anomalies respond better to emotional resonance than logic. Let's amplify it. Myles loaded the song, soft piano, simple melody, into the harmonic generator. The chamber vibrated with nostalgic sound waves that shimmered through the anomaly's edge. The ripples became hypnotically synchronized, one timeline echoing in the other. For a moment, the tear in the sky slowed its furious widening. It's working! Del shouted, relief mingling with disbelief. Alarms flared anew. The anomaly bucked, straining against the containment field. A distant explosion shook the outer station. Rena watched a fracture crawl up the core's wall. We've bought time, nothing more. We trigger the main sequence now or lose everything. Other Myles locked eyes with Myles. You lead the sequence. You're the variable. The anomaly hasn't seen you before. Maybe that's our edge. Myles swallowed his doubt. All right, let's end this. Outside, both timelines trembled. The next moments would decide if humanity's split history could mend at last, or if both realities would shatter for good. Myles stood at the anomaly core's heart, hands trembling over the rugged sequence console. The two Dells, one grim, one hopeful, flanked him, their mismatched tools working as one. Above, arcs of energy flickered dangerously close, bathing the chamber in a pale, ever-changing glow. The song's last delicate notes echoed between worlds. Ready on the diagnostic? Other Del called out, beads of sweat shining on his brow. Almost, Del replied, fingers racing across the screen. Override set, if anything glitches, I pull us out. That's not up for debate. Rena and her counterpart dropped quantum stabilizers into place, their synchrony perfect despite the pressure. Rena's voice was steady, but fear crept at the edges. The core's integrity is slipping. The next surge will breach the containment. Other Rena gripped her shoulder. Don't think, just react. Myles peered into the console's depths, his own reflection warped by swirling quantum feedback. Every instinct screamed at him to run, to hide, but other Myles leaned closer. It's just you now. The anomaly keys on familiarity, but you're new. Make that count. Bracing himself, Myles initiated the prime sequence. Alarms wailed, but the harmonic waveform synchronized across both timelines, a grid of hope stretching through the void. Del yelled over the rising din, She's surging, Myles! Now, before it collapses! Myles slammed the final key. For a split second, he was everywhere. Standing with his team, falling through an endless skyline, seeing his daughter's face, a city lit by dual moons. A blinding white filled his vision. Then silence. The energy rippled outward, freezing the fracture in the barrier. The two timelines hovered at the brink, the core straining but holding. Other Myles let out a long, rattling sigh. We're still here. But as the glow faded, a deep rumbling shook both stations. The anomaly had changed. Lightning raced across the horizon, forming new, strange patterns. Myles stared uncertain. We stopped one breach, but it's adapting. Other Rena checked the scanners, eyes narrowing. It's learning us. We've bought a day. Maybe less. A sense of victory warred with fear. They had survived, but the anomaly was growing bolder. Myles clenched his fists, determination hardening. Then we use every moment. We find the anomaly's core, its true origin. We end this at the source. The battered conference room buzzed with nervous energy as Myles connected both teams through a live quantum link. Maps and data from each timeline flickered side by side, sites struck by the phenomenon, fluctuations in cosmic radiation, ancient seismic records. Del pointed to a jagged mountain range mirrored identically in both realities. This anomaly isn't random, Del declared. Its energy converges right here, a geographic constant. Other Myles nodded, voice hoarse. We always thought the fracture's point of origin was somewhere in the city, but maybe we were blind to the obvious. If it's fixed to natural geography, we might have overlooked something ancient. A subtle alarm pulsed. Rena read the result, hope flickering. Temporal fluxes are lowest near the chasm. Both worlds, same coordinates. The anomaly's weakest there. Other Del gave a lopsided grin. Guess we're climbing a mountain. They geared up, silence thick with anticipation. As they boarded the modified atmospheric shuttle, Rena found herself beside her counterpart at the viewport. Thunder rumbled outside, painting the horizon with ghostly purple lightning. Rena broke the silence. "You ever wish you'd seen these skies before the split?" Other Rena turned, eyes pained but soft. "Every day. It's why I won't stop trying." The shuttle sliced through swirling clouds, heading for the point where both timelines aligned, a gaping canyon hundreds of meters wide. When they landed, the teams fanned out. Sensors danced with energy. The barrier between worlds thinned, flickering, and translucent. Miles's heart pounded as he approached the edge. Across the divide, he saw the silhouette of his own daughter, flickering like a mirage. "Is this real?" he whispered. "She's a memory, a lure." Other Myles warned quietly. "The anomaly's using what we love to bait us. Stay focused." Del connected the quantum stabilizer, hands steady now. "We anchor the link here. One chance to reach the source. If this works, both worlds get a second shot. If not—" Other Del clapped his shoulder. "We make it count." The device hummed, the air warping as a portal began to form in the center of the divide. Blue light spilled across the chasm, opening a doorway to the anomaly's core. The team stared into the unknown, united by fear, hope, and the stubborn refusal to be erased. Myles drew a shaky breath. "Let's step through, together." As the portal expanded, its edges shimmered with swirling colors, echoes of both realities. The two teams exchanged tense, silent nods. Myles led the way, with both Dells flanking him and the two Renas bringing up the rear. One trembling step at a time, they crossed from fractured reality into a place where logic unraveled. Inside the anomaly's core, sensation blurred. Above, there was no sky, only rolling fractal storms, pulsing with memories from every life lost since the split. Surfaces folded and refolded, impossibly layered with shadowy remnants of countless cities from both timelines overlaying one another. Gravity pulled sideways. Time buckled in uneven jumps. Myles stumbled, caught by other Myles, their minds linked for a dizzying moment by the anomaly's raw psychic energy. Del blinked in awe. "Feels like standing inside a fever dream." Other Del clenched his teeth. "Stay sharp. Nothing real here, but everything matters." Rena reached for a strange device, half-built from both worlds' technology, as the anomaly whispered through her thoughts, 1,000 voices promising hope and despair. She shivered but forced herself onward. A pulsing rift, deeper and wider than any before, gaped at the heart of the core. Inside, a crystalline structure thrummed, the anomaly's origin, refracting the lifeblood of both universes. Other Rena steadied the energy meter. "This is it. Whatever caused the split, it left a wound right here. We patch it, maybe everything heals." But before they could act, visions assaulted each of them. Myles saw his daughter, screaming for rescue. Del relived the moment he found his family gone in the chaos. Rena faced her daughter's empty room, echoed by her counterpart's identical pain. Each struggle twisted, amplified by the anomaly. Sweat dripped down Myles's face as he gritted his teeth. "It's trying to break us. Fight through. Remember why we're here." In unison, they reached the crystalline core, connecting their opposing codes and harmonic sequences. The structure pulsed, resisting desperately, warping their memories, trying to tear them from one another. Light exploded outward, the line between worlds blurring, then focusing. Reality screamed, and then finally, the crystalline wound began to close. One rift down, but the anomaly writhed, refusing to die so easily. Both teams staggered, battered but not broken, and faced the cascading echoes left in the anomaly's wake. A final, immense wave rising. Other Myles met Myles's gaze. "It's not over. The last fracture is coming, and this one we win or everything ends." The crystalline wound pulsed faintly, but the anomaly above them coalesced into a towering vortex. A shimmering avatar of collapse, formed from every pain, regret, and loss across both timelines. Time fractured again. The world spun ancient and new at once. Myles instinctively threw an arm in front of Del and Rena, as a surge of raw psychic force lashed across their group. Del's knees buckled, memories of a lost family weighing him down. Rena screamed through clenched teeth, fighting to hold on to the thought of her daughter, even as the anomaly tried to rewrite that love into nothingness. Other Myles staggered and called out, voice hoarse, "We're almost through. Anchor yourselves. Stay together. That's the only way it can't break us." The two Dells, battered, crawled toward the harmonic device. Together, fingers bloody and shaking, they rerouted power. Del using intuition, other Del using brute force, their differences now the missing pieces that made the whole possible. At the core, the Rina's locked eyes, synchronizing neural uplinks to boost the stabilization sequence. Rina's hands trembled. If we fail, she won't even know I tried. Her counterpart grasped her wrist. We won't fail, not this time. Myles, sweat and tears streaking his face, faced the anomaly's vortex. You can't erase us, he whispered, voice cracking. We remember for each other. Other Myles pressed his palm against the fractured crystal, his own memories surging through the interface. We are more than our pasts. We are what we fight for. A blinding, roaring chaos erupted as the anomaly fought back, warping the senses, showing each hero their darkest moments, regret, loss, every reason to give up. But this time, Myles held firm. He reached back, grasping Del's hand, then Rina's, forging a living chain into the heart of the storm. Across the link, the other team did the same. The two timelines, two desperate teams, one hope, channeled a flood of harmonics and human will through the device. The light built, a frequency of unity so pure it stung the darkness. The anomaly screamed, its form splitting, fracturing as the harmonic resonance poured through. Cracks raced through the last rift, threatening not just to seal, but to annihilate everything if balance faltered for even a heartbeat. Del gasped, weak but stubborn. Hold on, just a little longer. Unity or oblivion trembled on a knife's edge. All they could do was hold and hope the future wasn't already lost as the final wave crested, ready to decide the fate of both realities. The final wave crashed down, a maelstrom of memory, anguish, and raw cosmic power. Time jittered like a broken film. Myles's senses blurred until he almost let go, but Del's grip was there, fierce and grounding, and Rina's voice cut through the roar. We're still here. Stay with me. Other Rina lent her strength too, surging through the neural uplink. Across the divide, in two realities, the teams held tight, breaking through the anomaly's illusions with simple, stubborn will. Now, Myles, other Myles shouted, his own hand pressed to the crystal. End this. Myles focused every scrap of hope into the harmonic sequence. A sharp, clear note rang out, a child's laughter recorded years ago layered atop Del's music chip and Rina's soft lullaby. A signal from all they loved, from both timelines, merged into one blinding resonance. The anomaly recoiled, shuddering. The vortex unraveled, its power undone by unity, memory, and love, forces stronger than entropy itself. The crystalline core sealed, the last fractures knitting as the storm's noise dwindled to silence. One by one, the two teams collapsed to their knees, gasping. Slowly, color returned to the space between worlds, first a swirl of twin dawns, then the pure blue of an unmarred sky. The boundaries shimmered, then faded, leaving only unity behind. Del stared in disbelief as his alternate winked out, offering a final hopeful grin. Other Rina nodded once at Rina, a silent promise kept. Other Myles lingered the longest, meeting his own gaze. You've got a second chance, don't waste it, he whispered, voice fading into the healed horizon. The original Myles, Rina, and Del found themselves once more on their station, dawn's light streaming cleanly through the windows. The anomaly was gone, the nightmare over. Rina wept as she hugged Del and Myles. Around them, the world was whole. Timeline mended, but stronger for the wounds healed. No more flickering shadows, no more split sunrises, just the future, raw and real. Myles smiled through tears, heart swelling with relief and newfound strength. We did it. Not alone. Never alone. The team walked together into the bright new day, changed by the impossible. Across the stars, humanity dared to hope again. The horizon was no longer a divide, but a shared promise that what once broke them could never keep them apart.